Okay, let's be real. Trying to keep up with what's happening in AI right now, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose. You've got these mind-blowing breakthroughs one minute, then some crazy promises, and then these super scary warnings the next. It's a total storm. And it makes you wonder, what's actually real here and what's just hype?
I mean, take a look at this. You've got Elon Musk out here saying his Optimus robot is going to be a better surgeon than the best human surgeons on the planet in just 3 years. That is a wild sci-fi level claim, right? It totally grabs your attention.
And it's not just him. Then you get this bomb dropped by the CEO of Anthropic. He's saying that AI is going to do all the work of a software engineer within the next year, not just help them, but replace them. That's another absolutely massive prediction.
So yeah, these headlines are what we all see, and they're designed to grab us. But you know what? They're also hiding what's really going on. Because underneath all that hype, there's a huge, messy, and super intense power struggle playing out as we speak.
Which brings us to the big question, right? Who is actually winning this thing? In this explainer, we're going to try and slice through all that noise. We'll look at what's really happening behind the scenes to see who's got the real advantage in this race for AI dominance.
All right, first up, the Battle of the Titans. We're talking about the software shakeout. This is ground zero for the fight over which AI platform is going to rule them all.
So in one corner, you've got OpenAI. They're the pioneers, the ones who basically picked this whole thing off with ChatGPT and Sora. And in the other corner, Google, the sleeping giant that's suddenly wide awake and is now using its entire massive ecosystem, we're talking Android, Chrome, Search, as a weapon in a huge AI offensive.
But things aren't looking perfect for the pioneer. Check this out. This number, 75%, it shows a huge vulnerability for OpenAI. Remember their big push for custom AI agents, those GPTs? Well, they've seen a 75% drop in users. That's massive. It seems like the initial hype just fizzled out. People aren't sticking around.
Now, contrast that with what Google is doing. They're not trying to get you to come to a new app. Nope. They are weaving AI into the fabric of everything you already use, like Project Genie, which can literally turn a picture into a playable game, or their new Aluminum OS, which merges your phone and desktop. And then there's the Chrome agent, baking AI right into your web browser. This isn't just one product, it's a full-blown ecosystem assault.
Okay, so all this competition brings us to our next big battleground, hype versus reality. And honestly, this is where we hit a real credibility crisis. There's this huge and kind of scary gap opening up between the promises and the reality of AI.
So we're all being pitched this fantasy, right? This idea of an intelligent AI agent that's just going to flawlessly handle our entire digital life. Sounds great, but the present reality? Well, the open source agents that exist have super low adoption. And why? Because, let's face it, people are freaked out, and they probably should be, about giving some random program total access to their computer, their messages, everything.
And it's not like the big companies are being shy about it. Look at this quote from Starlink. This isn't buried in the fine print. They are straight up telling you, hey, we're changing our privacy policy. We're going to use your location, your payment info, even your photos and videos to train our AI. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Your personal data is the fuel for this fire.
So when they're grabbing all this data to make these AIs more and more powerful, it leads to an even bigger, more unsettling question. A really fundamental one. Can we even trust what we see and hear anymore?
And the answer, based on the data, is pretty terrifying. Get this, OpenAI's own tools can't spot video made by its Sora model 92% of the time. They made it, and they can't detect it. Google's tools aren't much better. But here's the real gut punch. We humans are just as clueless. We get fooled over 90% of the time. We are literally walking into a new reality where telling what's real from what's fake is becoming next to impossible.
Which brings us to the absolute heart of the matter. All this chaos in the software world, this whole crisis of trust, it all comes down to one thing: the real battle. A new arms race for the physical chips that actually power all of this.
Yeah, you can forget all the flashy software demos and the big promises for a minute. Because underneath it all, this entire AI revolution runs on one thing and one thing only: massive, massive computing power. It's all built on silicon. It boils down to these tiny, specialized chips. And whoever controls the chips, well, they control everything. And this table just shows you how crazy the race has gotten. We all hear about NVIDIA, right? But behind the scenes, the big tech giants are in a frenzy building their own chips. And you know who's surprisingly pulling ahead? Microsoft. Their new Maya 200 chip is actually beating the competition, especially on something called bidirectional speed. That's basically how fast it can talk and listen at the same time. And look, Google is way behind on that front. Really interesting.
And believe me, this isn't just companies fighting over market share. This is geopolitical. I mean, just read this quote. The CEO of Anthropic says giving advanced AI chips to China is like giving a nuclear weapon to North Korea. That tells you everything about the level of fear in Silicon Valley. They see this as a matter of national security.
And it's not an empty fear either. China is playing this game hard. They're building their own super competitive AI models, like one called Genie. They are flooding the global market with cheap memory chips, which gives them a ton of control over the supply chain. And get this, they actually managed to pressure the US to start selling them top-tier NVIDIA chips again. It's a brilliant multi-pronged strategy.
Okay, so we've got this massive global power struggle happening between giant companies and entire countries. But what does any of this actually mean for you?
All right, let's boil this all down. 4 key things you need to remember. First, your data is the fuel. It's what's making all of this possible. Second, we've got a major trust problem. Telling what's real from what's fake is getting harder every single day. Third, it's all about ecosystem lock-in. These companies are building worlds they don't want you to leave. And fourth, and maybe most important, hardware is power. The people who make the best chips will have the ultimate say.
And all of this leaves us with one last big question to chew on. As AI literally builds this new reality all around us, what's happening to us? Are we actually getting any smarter from all this? Or are we just becoming easier to fool?